Hi everyone, I wanted to share another dream that I had. It was back in November, around Thanksgiving, but I've seen it manifest itself enough that I thought, um, I know I'm not the only one dealing with this, so I thought I'd share it as an encouragement. In this dream, I was at a place, it looked kind of like an amusement park, um, sort of place. I was with friends, I was with family. We were just sort of meandering around, and things started to get a little chaotic and crazy. I ended up getting separated from everyone else, and it ended up just being me. And I I understand that part to mean that I like the amusement park is kind of like the world, and then with friends and family, even though um, they are important to you, that sometimes God still calls you from those people, away from everything that they are doing, and calls you to be separate. Um, so after I was by myself, I ended up kind of like being lifted in the air, and I could feel all of this. It felt like a bombardment of a whole bunch of tiny balls or pellets or something all over my skin. And I knew immediately this was like, these were the attacks of the enemy, like the little things that the enemy will put in your mind or put in your way to uh, to see if they'll affect you, to see if they will grab your attention, to get you to act on them, things like this. So I was up in the air and still and feeling all of these like little pellet things on my skin, and they hurt slightly, but not like they weren't penetrating. They weren't going to cause death or bleeding or anything like that. But I could feel that they were oncoming, and that it was like an onslaught. Like it was just like a relentless kind of a pounding of these pellets all over my skin. And in the background, I could hear a man's voice talking, and um, what he was talking about was things that you can do to safeguard yourself from the vices of the enemy. So while this was going on, I could hear his voice talking, and just as I was thinking, I should cover my ears so that none of those little pellets go into my ears. I don't know why I was thinking that of all the places on my body, but I heard him say, and almost most importantly, do not forget to safeguard what it is that you are listening to and hearing. Be very cautious with what you're taking in through your ears, because it will affect you. Um, so, like I said, I was hearing that at the same time I was already thinking I need to cover my ears. And this sensation of being pelleted by these like tiny attacks kept continuing, and then almost instantly um, I started shooting up into the air, and I knew, okay, Jesus taking us out of here, we're going home. And at that point, my body had a completely different sensation, and it was almost like a fire, but it didn't hurt. It was like a burning, but it didn't hurt in any way. It was a pretty wild kind of a sensation. And one thing I remember was, at that point I was waking up because I could hear the sound as I was going up. Like if you stuck your head out of a window and the wind is so loud in your ears, you can hear it. Um, that was the same sound I was hearing as I was rushing up through the air. So I woke up and I understood this dream to mean all those different parts. And I really felt like what the Lord was showing me was that before he comes, there is going to be just an onslaught of attempts from the enemy to bring God's people down so their lives aren't victorious, so that they don't shine Christ's light as brightly, because they're so encumbered with these attacks. But I felt like it was an encouragement from the Lord saying that in spite of all that stuff, we will overcome, and those things aren't destructive enough to penetrate us or hurt us. We'll feel it, but it's not going to kill us. It's not going to even make us bleed. We'll just know that they're around. But we also need to be vigilant in what we are doing ourselves, like what we're listening to and what we're watching, and how we spend our time in the meantime before he comes back and takes us with him. So since then, in the months since then, I have just been amazed at seeing, like, I'll just have these thoughts come through my mind that I would not think of on my own at all. I'm very careful of the things that I watch and things I listen to. And still I'll have these thoughts, sometimes a bombardment of things that I'm like, I know that's not coming from me. I know that's the enemy. So I have to just stay in God's presence and stay in his strength in it and not try and fight it on my own, because it really is an onslaught. And what's been amazing to me is in talking with friends on Facebook, friends that I have contact with regularly, and even like going through YouTube videos and seeing comments of people, like it seems like it's almost a global thing that believers are experiencing right now. So it's this onslaught of attacks from the enemy in all different kinds of ways. I think that it's an encouragement to know that this is the enemy's, it's his like last defense kind of a measure that he's taking before Jesus takes us home. So I really do think that we are in the last days. I don't know when Jesus is coming back, and I think we all need to be very cautious on setting dates or putting our hopes in a certain date or specific time frame. I really think we just need to keep our eyes on Jesus, keep him steadfast on Jesus, stay in his presence, so that if he tarries, it doesn't discourage us. If he comes really soon, of course we're excited about that, but no matter what, that we are steadfast, we are setting our eyes on him, we are lights shining in the darkness in the meantime until he shows up. We are walking in victory and not in defeat in the meantime. So be encouraged and stay steadfast and stay soaked in the presence of the Lord.